If your parents are divorced or separated, you might be seriously asking yourself if you are capable of having a healthy relationship. This comes from the thought that you don't have a positive example regarding relationships, and also surely you have some trauma. It's normal to be resentful towards them because of the breakup of their relationship, because you as a kid needed that solid foundation that in the end they didn't give you. Now you want to have a positive and healthy relationship, and you want to give your future children this solid foundation that you didn't have, or that you had as a toddler or as a small child and ceased to have when your parents got separated. You can have a healthy relationship, and we will speak about how to accomplish that. First of all, we will start talking about your resentment towards your parents. Your resentment towards your parents about this usually transforms into resentment towards women. That's not necessarily because you, as a young boy, saw your mother being toxic and not your father. This is mainly because the person you will have in front of you in your own relationship will be a woman, and you will remember the fights, the arguments, the coldness between your parents when something happens with your girlfriend. So a big amount of this resentment will be directed towards your own girlfriend. You have to be conscious of this so you can go against it. Your girlfriend is not your mother and not your father. She isn't like them, or not necessarily. When you choose someone to be your significant other, you must be very wary of not choosing someone that repeats some of your parents' behaviors. And I say very wary because one tends to find someone that is like his parents. If you saw your parents being a couple a certain way, you will most likely look for that same thing in your significant other, because anything that your parents do is teaching you how that particular thing is done. So if you have a bad example of how a loving relationship is, you will start looking for that in your own relationship without even noticing. I'm sure you have seen some toxic relationships, and if you dig inside them, most of the time the parents of these people had toxic relationships. So they view relationships as something that is in its nature toxic. Of course, they don't say that, they don't think about that consciously, but unconsciously they work that way, and that's why they keep in toxic relationships. And if they end one of these relationships, these same people will most probably enter another toxic relationship. The thing we have to do is look into ourselves so we can see the problems that we have in our bag because of our parents, so we can identify them and solve them. So when your girlfriend does something, think carefully if she is really doing something that looks the same as what your parents did, or if you are interpreting something that not necessarily is something that your parents did. Of course, when we are used to see some behaviors mean certain thing, we tend to always think certain behaviors mean that same thing. But your girlfriend comes from a different family, so she might mean something else when doing something very similar to what your parents did. Give her the benefit of the doubt. Of course, sometimes you will come to the conclusion that she is actually doing this same toxic thing. That's okay. You have thought about this and you realized it is something negative. You have to speak to her about this and see if she is willing to change that. On the other side, you might come to the conclusion that you are seeing this through your glasses, through the glasses that your raising gave you. So maybe she really isn't meaning what you thought she meant at the beginning. It's very important that you try to see things from far away of your interior that is seeing things through these glasses. Now let's talk about how to talk about this with your girlfriend. If she really is being negative, toxic, or whatever, how should we deal with this situation? Clearly, your parents' example didn't work well. You want to solve this situation and you want to be happy with her. You don't want to break up. That's why you are thinking about this. If you have the premise of trying to solve things and save your relationship, you have taken the first step in the right way. Now you have to be very careful of not falling into the attitudes that your parents had when they had a disagreement. You have to be forgiving. You have to be willing to listen to her. This is very important. Most relationships that don't work because the members of the relationship do not listen to each other. They just yell at each other trying to get the rage out, but they are not thinking about listening to the other person and trying to understand why this is happening and how can they both solve this situation. Remember the first step. Give her the benefit of the doubt. Listen to her. Listen to her feelings. Maybe she was negative, but it was because of something else. Remember that nobody is perfect, and that includes you. Maybe you are having certain behaviors that she doesn't like. And it's highly probable because you come from a bad example. Maybe there are things that you think are normal that really are hurtful. Listen to her because she can guide you regarding which things are negative things that you are bringing into the relationship because of what you saw as an example in your parents. Of course, she is not perfect. She will have some negative attitudes, some negative behaviors. That might be because she went through the same thing. Maybe she went through other stuff. There are many elements that in certain ways shape us. The important thing is that you are willing to change the things that you don't like about how you were shaped, and it is absolutely necessary that she is willing to do the same. If you are both on the same boat, you can achieve a healthy relationship. If only one of you is willing to do the changes necessary, this will not work. Remember, be conscious that she is not responsible for what your parents did. Give her the benefit of the doubt. Be willing to change yourself and ask of her that she changes also the things that you don't like about her. If you like this video, like and subscribe. See you next time.